you want to be successful? Do you want to grow your business? Do you want to dominate the day? Then you're going to need Big Skip Energy. Dr. Bruce, welcome to the Big Skip Energy Podcast. How you doing today, man?
I am doing great, my man. How are you?
Living the dream, buddy, living the dream. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm glad that we finally were able to work it out. But for my listeners out there that aren't familiar with you, don't know you yet, take a second, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, what you're all about.
Yeah, who I am, what I'm all about. So I go by Dr. Bruce. So my good friend Ernie Graham over at Homebot has dubbed me Dr. Bruce. I went golfing with him one time, and it was always very uncomfortable to refer to myself that way. But I do have a PhD in human performance. So I really do love just helping people reach their potential. I really got into the mortgage coaching space about a decade ago. But then 7 years ago, I launched my own coaching business out in Denver, Colorado called 90 Day Sales Manager. We have since gone on, Skip, to launch a CRM plus coaching plus accountability model that I don't think anybody else out there has. And we do primarily focus on mortgage, but, getting even more niched into the banks and the credit union within that offering. So,
yeah, I see you a lot out there in the credit union space, especially, man. You're doing a lot of good work out there. So that's awesome to see. So tell me a little bit. I got to ask, how did you end up taking a dive into the mortgage space with your background 10 years ago?
well, I think everyone talks about we just fell into it, which is always a bad thing to say. I coach people on I call it your opportunity statement, and never just say, oh, I just fell into the industry, right? But so back in 2010, I moved from Michigan to Nashville to start grad school. And when I started grad school, I was going to go be a graduate teaching assistant. I had this amazing mentor. And then he introduced me to this gentleman named Coach Michael Burt, who a lot of people in the mortgage space probably know, especially out of Middle Tennessee. And so, he was just getting started with his coaching business. So I had this background. I was a journalist. And so I'm like, oh my God, I love what this guy does. I'm going to write his press releases. I'm going to follow him around like a puppy dog and just try to absorb as much possible information as I could during that time while working on my PhD in grad school and all that kind of stuff and teaching classes. But his main focus really was commoditized industries, housing, banking, insurance, and finance. So he was coaching a lot of people in that mortgage space. And I'm an open book, Skip. I think you know that. But at that time, going back 15 years ago, I didn't even know what half of this stuff really was at 20 years old. Like, what is mortgage? What does a real estate agent do? Like, I was like brand new to all that different type of stuff. And so now 15 years later, it's been a wild, fun ride. And I still focus on those areas, housing, banking, insurance, finance. But I would say 80% of my clientele are in the housing banking space for sure.
Okay, very cool. So you and I are similar in that regard. Tell me a little bit about what it is about that space that attracts you to it. What is it that you like working with in that space?
I love working with financial advisors and mortgage loan officers specifically because they run their business like a business, right? There's not just this low barrier of entry. This is no offense to my real estate clients and fans out there, but real estate agents, man, they're freaking exhausting to coach. I mean, they're all over the place and some aren't humble and all that kind of stuff. So I just really enjoy the more the personalities of the loan officers and financial advisors. So I would say that, but then, you do have the lip service of this is one of the biggest or best investments that you can ever make. And I want to be every step of the way, but it really can be. I go back to 2020 in my own business, Skip, during COVID, and I had cabins in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I had to sell both of them, right? We know what happened during COVID for while you guys were busy being fabulous in the mortgage space, right? You're looking for money. Us speakers and coaches, man, those were dire times for us.
Different world, man. Different world.
It was a different world. So I just share that with you because I do believe in housing banking, finance, and really the role that they can serve for their clients. We're transformational, right? There are transactional people out there, the churn and burn, it's a numbers game kind of folks that are out there. But for the ones that really do see this as their vocation, their voice or their calling in life versus their occupation, I just love working with professionals like that.
Okay. So I should have asked this before I asked that question, but doctorate in human performance, man, what led you to that? Because that is a very specific one, at least to me. I mean, I'm sure in your world it's not, but at least that's very specific.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into that?
Yeah, so I go back to growing up. I was a three-sport athlete in high school: football, basketball, baseball. I ended up playing college baseball at Hope College. So I mean, sports was always my thing. If I
Yeah.
tell the story all the time on stage, when I'm helping people kind of package up their special, I go back to when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Some of my earliest memories were literally I grew up in a single wide trailer, Reed City, Michigan. My dad was an alcoholic most of my life. My mom was working multiple jobs to support my sister and I. So sports was always my release.
Yeah.
So I would literally VHS record, being from Michigan, Barry Sanders juking and jiving, right? My favorite pitcher was
Yeah.
Greg Maddux, right? Man, the way that he could move that ball and throw it around,
Yeah.
right? So Alex Rodriguez, he was just breaking in with the Mariners at that time. And so, I mean, I would literally VHS record. Remember those days? I would
Oh, yeah.
VHS record
Word.
these athletes, man, and I'm in there just
Yeah.
studying what they're doing. And then in Michigan, we only have so many good months of weather. So when it wasn't snowy and cold and all that kind of stuff, I would go outside and I would like back up 60 feet, 6 inches.
Hmm.
And I would just throw that baseball into a fence again and again because again, my dad wasn't around, my mom's gone, my sister doesn't like sports. So I mean, I
Yeah.
had to self teach myself and even play on my own sometimes. But that was passion for the sport. Well, every step of the way, I naturally was attracted to. I'm going really deep with you here, Skip.
No, that's what I
Um,
wanted, man. I love this. This is good stuff.
yeah. So the human behavior, right? So I was
Yeah.
always attracted typically at that time to men who dress well, like they were dressed because it was like that was that void in my life. So I would study successful men. What do they do? What do they not do? Right. So very early on, I didn't realize it subconsciously, but that was just what I was doing is studying successful people,
Mm.
internalize it, figure out what I could or could not do well, and then go out there and do that. So I do that every step of the way from the age of 10 all the way up to like really the age of 30, like with all these different mentors. I was always the person directly underneath the person.
Yeah.
So I was the youngest journalist at the Grand Rapids Press, but I worked directly under the sports editor, right? When I was working on my PhD, my graduate teaching assistant, I worked directly underneath the department chair. Right? So I just have all these stories with that. When I was 25, I wrote a book called Nexpert. We're the next expert. And it was for millennials because millennials, if you study us, right, like and we're entitled, we're this, we're that, which by the way, that's all generations.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to be any of those things. So I'm going to move in the opposite direction. So that was just my way of saying, like, going all the way back to my earliest memories without even realizing it. I was always studying human performance, right? Like
Hmm.
successful people, what did they do well? What did they not do well? But I didn't even package all that up until really the age of 30, where I was like, oh my gosh, right now that is unique to me because so many of us struggle with that. Like, there's nothing unique about me or whatever it is, or we
Yeah.
always compare up, right? Skip, we never compare down. We always compare
Yeah.
up to other people. And so a lot of times, like we have that imposter syndrome or whatever you want to call it because of that. But for me, it goes back to my earliest memories of just studying successful people, internalizing it. How do I be the best version of myself? And then go out there and do that. But I've been very fortunate to have mentors along the way.
Yeah, so I mean, it almost sounds like you've really taken your life experiences, which I know we all do to a degree, but you're really taking what's mattered to you and what has helped you get through and get and succeed and try and help others achieve that same type of success. Is that a fair statement?
That is absolutely fair, right? There is nothing more rewarding, and I know that this and believe this as well, than helping somebody else see the potential in them. When they go from, you know what,
Yeah.
I think this mortgage thing is something that I can do or I want to do to, yeah, now I know I can do it and I'm going to go out there and do it. And then it really does transform their life,
It
right?
does. It really does. And that's a great feeling as a fellow trainer. But it's funny. Something you said a second ago really kind of resonated with me. It's that we always look up instead of the other direction. It blows my mind how many people take take things for granted that they really shouldn't. They're actually highlights. It's what actually makes them who they are, makes them special. They're like, oh, that's no big deal. I was working with somebody recently on something as simple as a LinkedIn profile, right? And she was struggling with just the basic headline, right? And she's like, but I feel like I'm bragging and doing this. I was like, I said, look, we've jotted all these things down. Like, but yeah, but that's just like normal stuff. But it's not normal stuff. You gotta realize what makes you unique as an individual. It's not bragging if it's true. Okay. So yeah, we're not falsifying the resume like George Costanza, right? So
That's right.
yeah, so
Manually Industries.
yeah, Vandal Industries. Yeah, he's in risk management there. But yeah, it's people downplay things all the time and minimize what really makes them who they are. And what are some ways that you find the most successful in drawing that out of people and getting them to realize that, hey, wait a second, I really do have something to bring and have more strengths than I realized.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. It's the art of the humble brag, right, Skip?
Yeah.
So many people just struggle with talking about themselves or sharing things about themselves. I'm known for my little one liners, my Dr. Bruce one liners. And so one of my one liners that I share with people is don't suppress the past, celebrate it.
Yeah.
That's what makes you who you are, right? And this is really the book that I want to write whenever I can get around to writing my next book. But it is the whole concept of turning your mess in, right? Like at the end of the day, your mess, your mentors, your education, your struggles, and your scriptings, right? Like
Mhm.
that's all of us have unique mentors
Right.
or unique experience or unique struggles
Mhm.
or unique scripting, your upbringing, right? Like I shared some of
There's
that.
nobody else that's gone through whatever specific things you have gone through.
That's right.
Similar maybe, but not the
That's right.
exact same stuff.
That's right. Yes, very similar, right? Like whether you're an athlete or you go to school or you get a PhD or grad school or yeah, I mean, we all have, and that's why we all connect, right? Like that's
Right.
the social identity part of it, which is great. But you have to do I just recommend every individual person should do the heavy lifting to figure out how to turn their mess into their message. Don't suppress the past. Celebrate it. That's
Mm.
what makes you who you are. It's finite. It's fixed. It's already happened. Right. So if you're telling different stories all the time, it means you're full of shit. Pardon my French there, Skip. I don't know what the
You're good here.
ski language is on here at
Safe
this point.
space. Safe space.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man, like we all have stories that have happened over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Well, they've already all happened, right? So
Mhm.
how do you package those stories up? How do you share those stories in a way that connects with other people?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So let's shift gears just a little bit and talk more on the granular LO level, right? Right now, obviously, unprecedented market, the worst mortgage market in 40 years, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? All I'm saying is it presents a new set of challenges that we have to adapt
Yep.
and overcome, right? So when you are coaching LOs or training groups, departments, whatever the case is, what is the most common question, or I guess not, maybe not question, most common struggle that people are bringing to you and say, please, Dr. Bruce, help me with this?
I mean, in a market like this, it is confidence more
Mhm.
than anything, right? Confidence is the one thing that affects everything. When we have confidence, I don't want to date this podcast, right? But if you're watching whether NFL or baseball or basketball, right?
Yeah.
Like these teams go on these runs and you're like, oh my gosh, that team looks unstoppable, right? For maybe an entire quarter or half the game. And then all of a sudden they go from that to, oh my gosh, are they going to score another basket, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to score another point in the game, right? And so, and I just feel like that's kind of what's happened for a lot of LOs as we went from 2020, 2021, where the faucet was just on and it never shut off. And it was a false positive,
Mhm.
right? Like people just woke up and they reacted and they had all this business coming in and maybe they didn't even earn it, right? In most cases, but you know, they're there and it's on and it's like, yeah, we're going to take that business. But then what happens in 2022, 2023, now into 2024 is so many people have forgotten how to be proactive and they've
Yeah.
forgotten how to go out there and cause things to happen and their
Right.
follow up and their prospecting and their networking and their marketing, right?
Yeah.
And so
Working intentionally has become a problem.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Because again, you know, you go back and you had 2 or 3 years of learned bad behavior. And by the way,
Mhm.
Skip, I'm not saying anybody was lazy. They weren't. I mean, you were more
Oh, it's not an
for hours.
effort thing. It's a I don't know what the hell to do thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're
Or
at now is people have lost the confidence and they wake up and then they don't really know what are the high value activities, right? What are the things that I should be doing today that's going to show for 30, 60, 90 days from now? And then also Skip, people just what's that patience level of all of it too, right? Like what I do if I just keep stacking those wins, here's a Seinfeld reference for you. Jerry Seinfeld, right? He calls it don't break the chain. So when he
Mhm.
first got started in comedy for 20 years straight, I mean, you go Google this, is he would write comedy for 20, 30 minutes a day, every
Mhm.
single day, regardless of what was going, if it's a Friday, a Saturday, like whatever the day is, right? Well, if you do that for 20 years, it's the compound effect, right? You're going to have some type of success
Yep.
in the future, right? So that's just where I'm to 90-day sales manager, accountable CRM, all the things that I coach on. But it is like I coach a 4-hour workday where every single day I want to be proactive by noon. I do a 90-minute personal development time block, a 90-minute professional time block, a 30-minute marketing time block, and a 30-minute operational
Mhm.
time block. And I just know
Yep.
if I can be proactive by noon every day within those activities and I keep stacking those wins, don't break the chain, It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when I'm
Mhm.
going to have success. So I know I kind of went on a little
Oh,
right.
that's good, but
Yeah.
I want to go back to the efforting thing
Yeah.
because I think that's a lot of people. I would even venture to say, and please push back on this if you're seeing something otherwise. I would even venture to say that a lot of the struggling LOs out there are may even be working harder than they need to. They're working on the wrong things.
Yeah.
They've got too many science projects. They're chasing too many tails, trying to get it's just they are putting all that effort into the wrong types of things. What do you think about that?
I do agree with that, right? It's the adage of work smarter, not harder. I do get
Yeah,
myself into trouble sometimes with this
takes
because
both, but
it
yeah.
does, yeah. But I mean, like a podcast like this. Like, listen, not everyone should start a podcast. Not
Yeah,
everyone should be their own digital marketer. Not everyone should do all this different things, right? And I think that's the challenge is a lot of people are waking up and it's not fair, quite frankly, for the solopreneur. You can't spell solopreneur without LO, by the way, right? Well, it's not fair for these solo LO-preneurs where they're
mhm.
out there. One day I gotta be a digital marketer, and then another day I gotta have my sales hat, and another day I have to have my customer appreciation hat on, and my
Yeah,
event
it's
coordinating,
not realistic.
and my therapist hat because I'm always managing my feelings and my emotions. Oh, and then I have to be a great parent. And then, like, it's just trying to wear too many hats for sure. The
Mhm.
main thing is to keep the main thing. Stop trying to AI your business. Stop trying to automate every single thing. Stop
Well,
trying to
AI, we can have a whole different conversation on
yeah,
AI.
open up
Yeah.
that can of worms. But you get what I'm saying, man. It's like
What?
most people just aren't realistic with setting those smart goals and just saying, okay, what are the one, two, three things that I need to do? And Skip, I can share with you, man. Again, I go back to 2021 or 2020 in my business where I met this digital marketer. I know that you love marketing, so you've heard of like ClickFunnels and
Right.
things like that, right? So I meet a gentleman. He's like, "Hey, you already have this your coaching boot camp. It has workbooks, it has planners. You have all this training platform. Let me just run your ads. It's going to be X amount of thousands of dollars per month, and we're
Mm.
going to turn this thing on, and it's going to be underwear money. Like you're never going to have to work another day." Like, and as soon as I bought into that mantra of the get rich quick, wealth without work strategies that don't work for the long term. So my whole point of sharing that is when I got back to as boring as it is, back to the basics, back to who are my top 25 advocate. What are the things that I really enjoy about my business, right? If you could just get back to that mindset versus trying to be all things for all people, you can
Mhm.
do anything, but you can't do everything. So I know that a lot of you on here are solopreneurs, but have some have some empathy towards yourself because it's not fair to be
Yeah, don't beat
digital
yourself.
marketer. Yeah, it's not fair to wear those 19 different hats that
No, it's
some
just that's
people.
not fair. It's not realistic. I mean, you can say, "Well, that's not fair," all you want. Well, okay, let's just take that out of it. It's just not going to happen. All
Yeah,
right. So, so yeah, a lot of listeners to this show are traditional loan officers. A lot of them are bank and credit union based loan officers. So let's shift gears a little bit to that and talk a little bit about some of the different ways that those that are housed within a financial institution can really succeed these days. What are you seeing a lot of success out there with from that space as opposed to
for sure.
the broker IMB space?
For sure. Well, I think number one is like, why do you work at a bank or a credit union in the first place, right?
Mhm.
So, like, what is the culture? What is the identity? We call it alignment. Like, are you in
Yeah.
alignment with the bank or the credit union that you're working with, right? That's first and
Mhm.
the organization. So once you're in alignment with there, like, yeah, you should be drinking your bank or credit union's Kool-Aid, right? And so leaning into that of how can I best represent the bank or the credit union? How do I go out and be a person of influence, right? Like
Mhm.
many of you are getting paid a salary where an IMB probably isn't or a broker probably
Right.
isn't, right? So like embrace that. There's more stability there. So like, hey, you just have to show up and communicate with other people, right? Especially our credit
Mhm.
union people. Like they're your members, right? They're not customers, they're not anything like that. So there's this built-in community. So embrace that. Like, how can I go be actively involved in the community? How do I just go show up at events and not have to have that proactive prospecting where I'm trying to win every single deal when I go to
Right.
types of events? So I just think there's a lot more stability, but then you have the opposite side, Skip, where people are just sit inside their office and secret agents and just hope good
Yep.
things happen, right?
Yeah,
So
they're waiting on that foot traffic.
that's right. So if you can marry again the stability, the reputation of your bank or credit union with that IMB mindset to
Yep.
where you're going to go out there and best represent your organization, those are the ones that really do crush it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I want you. I can already tell that before I ask you, this is going to be one of those I'm going to take a clip of and use it a lot. So if you are talking to a bank or credit union management and they say, look, we just got an inside culture, all loan officers, commercial, retail, whatever, they need to be inside the bank. All right. They can't be, we need them there. If they can get out and do something, hey, that's great. But at the same time, we also want them to grow their business.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's traditional banking or mortgage bank, it doesn't matter. What are you saying to that manager?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to win in these markets for sure. If you want your people to sit inside the office, and I'm not really hearing that much, Skip, to be honest. I hear the opposite for it could be just who I'm attracting in the market, right? With as you can probably
Mhm.
tell, my energy and my coaching and
Yeah.
being more outside sales, external focused. But yeah, I mean, it really is how do we empower, give your people more confidence to be more
Mhm. See, I see that a lot in the community banking and credit union space, the smaller institutions, because they're afraid that if somebody goes out, that they're going to have a customer walk in the door and then there's not going to be anybody there. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so that's why I bring that up. It's just kind of interesting because, and then I also hear a lot of times LOs say, yeah, they want me to, but I just can't get out. I just can't get away.
yeah.
I've got too much else to do. And that,
Well, Skip, an excuse is a self-proclaimed opt-out clause as to why we right?
there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love it, man. All right. So we're
Hey, Skip,
running.
real quick on that note, I know
No,
you're up to protein elements now. I got my little shot of juice going, so I'm now even more like energetic. I got
I
that
love
big
it. I love it.
energy going on. But I mean, so another thing that you brought up there is so I can't get away because I'm the only internal LO within the branch or whatever, right? So that's where like the other training has to come in, right? Like, so I mean, I know this is like we're focused on mortgage loan officers, but
No, I got
how are
lots of bankers that listen to this too. So
yeah,
yeah.
like, but how are you training your entire staff organizationally, right? To where, oh, hey, we have this amazing loan officer that's usually in the branch, but he or she is not here right now. Let me help with some questions. And I'm not saying they have to start answering mortgage questions, but just train them
Oh,
on a 1, 2, 3 minute basics to where you're not going to lose that lead or whatever it is,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. At the very least, they can take a soft app, schedule an appointment,
Yeah.
tell them the next steps. I mean, they can do something other than, hey, sorry, yeah, they're not here.
That's right. Such a scarcity mindset for you to like, hey, chain yourself to your desk. You can never go outside in the community, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you're not going to
exactly.
grow. You're
I
not
mean,
going to grow
you're
your
not going to grow, and hell, you're going to drive yourself crazy too. So, all right, man. What else do you want to share with the listeners today?
What else do I want to share with the
Yeah.
listeners?
No, what's something that's popped in your head the last 20, 25 minutes that you
Yeah.
are dying to get out?
Yeah. Well, one of the I mean, I just think about, like, what are things that I'm consistently seeing or speaking on in
Yeah.
the market right now, right? So, one of the topics that I've really been speaking on a lot is "What got us here won't get us there." By the way, that title isn't mine. I think it's Marshall Goldsmith, but I love the idea of what got us here today won't get us there to that next
Hmm.
level in the future. However, Skip, I believe that it actually will if you get back to doing the things that you know you should be doing, right? If
Yeah.
you get back to those young hustler days when you were breaking into the industry and you had to do whatever it took to go out there and grow your referral base, right? So I just see so many people, and this isn't just mortgage, this is just in general, where you start to
Yeah.
think like you're above it. Like I'm above, I don't need to speak anymore. I'm Dr. Bruce. I've spoken at the New York City Marriott Marquis and the LA Convention Center, right? Like I don't know, I no longer need to speak to 5 people, right? I should be in front of 5,000 people. As soon as you start embracing that mindset, you've lost, right? And I
Hmm.
think that's where I start seeing a lot of LOs where, again, going back into the good habits of, you know what, I am going to attend my closings. I see those as opportunities. I am going to go do an open house once or twice per month at minimal, right? Like I
Yeah.
am going to go do a lot of these. I'm going to go attend that outside networking event once a week, right? So I just think it's kind of that mindset. What got us here won't get us there, but it actually will if you go back to doing the things that worked in a previous life, pre mortgage boom.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. See, that's, we're hearing a lot. Hopefully people will start taking it to heart, the back to basics approach. Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, I got one more question for you, man.
Cool.
You travel a lot, right?
Yep.
So what?
I'm a nomad. So Skip, I don't know if my camera might be grainy. I don't know. I might be skipping on this thing. So I'm in Nashville right now. I went to grad school at MTSU, but I haven't been to Nashville like for an extended stay in over a decade. So I'm like,
Really? What?
Nashville. Yeah. But I'm bringing that up because for whatever reason, this nice apartment I'm at, the internet kind of sucks. So
No, you look fantastic, man. Look fantastic. So that's right. That's right. Quite the hero. All right. So you travel a lot. in your suitcase, what is the one thing above and beyond socks, underwear, that kind of thing? What's the one thing you as a absolutely have to have in there in that suitcase?
I got this thing down to a I mean, you say I travel a lot. I'm literally a traveling nomad. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah, you're on the road 3/4 of the year,
I
right?
don't even have a residence. Yeah. So
Right.
I have 3 bags. I have my carry-on bag that I can fit basically I've gotten it down to where I fit all my gym clothes into that
Mhm.
and my laptop with it. So that's one bag. I got my carry-on bag, which are more my adult human clothes, right? My jeans and my pants and my polos and all that kind of stuff. And then I have the big suitcase that I check that bag. So
Mhm.
inside of that bag, I have video equipment like lighting, my laptop stand, stuff like that. But then my supplements, man. I turned 40
Supplements.
this
Yeah.
past year and just have to take care of myself. So I do have my
Yeah.
routine and my supplements of so I would say that those
I love it.
must have
Good.
supplements that I have to be having because I am a creature of habit when it comes to taking care of myself.
Yeah. I've got a fan that I take with me everywhere
Okay.
because I can't stand sleeping hot. So I've got it's about that big. It opens up, unfolds. I don't care where I'm going. That thing is going with me.
I am with you with sleeping hot, man. I turned down my Marriott's must hate me. I'm a titanium elite, right? So, but I mean, I'm turning that thing down, but like 65, 66 every
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
sleep.
and don't think I haven't Googled the hack to try and override the thermostat control in the hotel room either, because I sure have,
Well,
and
that's
it
why I
works a
brought
little
that
bit.
up. A lot of
Yeah.
times when you have that status, I've noticed that when I don't have the status, yeah,
Mhm.
they can set it. But when you do, I've noticed that at some of these hotels where
Ooh,
certain status
it's
level
a
is
keen observation.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to start putting that to the test because yeah, with Marriott, yeah, I'm pretty high up. I've not reached titanium yet, though, unfortunately. Goals for me, I guess, you know?
Hey, one year I was like $1,000 spend away from having the concierge, the highest level. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, what would I even do? Like, if I'm gonna go to a certain market, I'm really gonna call my concierge to like get me a car or get me a
Just please send me a card to my room, yeah.
yeah, I'm
Uh
pretty low maintenance. So
All right, man. So if listeners want to learn more about you, get in touch with you, where should they go? What should they do?
yeah, 90daysales.com is my coaching slash CRM website. I truly believe that I have the best 90-day boot camp plus CRM plus accountability. We're bringing on credit unions every single month. For that, we're even bringing on banks now every single month. What I've learned is 70 to 80% of mortgage banks and credit unions don't have a mortgage specific CRM. And so if you're looking for that great starter CRM, please go check that out. I
I'd
mean, the
venture to say
results,
that might even be a low figure.
yeah, yeah. So we're having a ton of success with that. We can show a 30 to 40% increase during those 90 days in the KPIs that we're wanting to track within
Mhm.
all that. So there's that website. And then brucelund.com is more of my speaker website. So there, man. And I need to get back to doing more of the YouTube and more of the videos and stuff like that. But I
All
am
right,
on all the
well,
different platforms.
awesome. Well, I know I'm going to see you at some point in the summer/fall because you and I tend to be on the same convention circuit. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person, man.
Likewise, my man. It's always a pleasure. It's always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Like Skip.